Have you ever felt so overwhelmed by spiritual energy, weird nudges, or messages from the other side that you literally just wanted to shut the door on it all? Like you had to completely block out your guides and ancestors just to survive your day-to-day life. If that's you, I think you're going to get a lot out of what I'm going to say today. Because while this feels a little strange for me, I was so confident about doing this for the last few days, but as I'm sitting here today, I can feel something shifting at a very high level. So to understand what I mean, we have to go back to when I was an 8-year-old kid in the 1970s, fishing on the river with my grandfather, who at the time was about 70 years old. And by the way, before we continue, my name's Danais. I'm the Spiritual Abundance Coach, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. And now back to my story. My paternal grandfather built a camper by hand, and he used to take me in it fishing with him. So early in the morning, before my dad went to work, he would drop me off at my grandparents' house. From there, Grandpa and I would drive about 30 to 40 minutes to a fishing spot. We'd pick a different fishing spot every time. At one particular spot, something strange happened. We were out on the water in a small boat with large waves, and it was a windy day. So we were fishing when suddenly something ate the bait right off my grandfather's line. The river water is not clear, so you couldn't see what it was. He reeled in the line, saw the hook was bare, put more bait on it, and cast it back out. And within a couple of minutes, the fish somehow took the bait off again, but never got caught. I was just a kid watching this, so I'm just watching what my grandpa is doing. So my grandfather, who I knew as very calm, gentle man, was getting angry, and he said, "This fish is stealing his bait on purpose." So I didn't understand the dynamics of what he was saying. I just thought, how would this fish be doing it on purpose? And how does he know it's the same one? But again, I was just a young kid. So the third time, what he did is he swapped out the hook. He put some more bait on it, and he dropped it back down. And within a few minutes, the line went tight, and he pulled it back hard and reeled it in. It was a huge catfish, and I thought, man, that's an ugly fish. Anyways, we immediately headed back to the shore. We got out of the boat, and my grandfather took that catfish, swung it, and hit its head against the rocks on the shore a couple of times. Then he threw it back into the water, and it swam away. Without saying anything, we got back in the boat, we cast our lines, and I never saw that catfish again. I can't even remember if we caught anything. So that's the end of the first part of the story, and there's more. It gets quite interesting. So I wasn't going to mention the catfish part of the story because I try to keep things higher vibrationally. But I was getting a strong feeling when I was preparing today that I need to say this part of the story as someone needs to hear it for whatever reason. So my grandfather passed away when I was in my early 40s. He lived to be more than 100 years old. And at his funeral, I remember I felt the energy of his soul give me a gentle bump. The bump is about a meter, 3-4 feet above my head. And that energy felt like a strong love energy that I don't experience from someone who's on this side, who's still alive. So I have experienced this bump a few times at funerals, different funerals. It's like a quiet thank you. To me, it's an acknowledgement of knowing me from a spiritual perspective, and sometimes it's a simple hi to let me know there's more to all of this than what we see. And I feel like it's saying, hey, I'm here and now I'm leaving. And I do feel it for a brief moment, maybe just for a second or two, but the imprint stays with me for years. After his passing, I often felt that for closure, I needed to go back to the place where the fishing incident happened. That would require a boat, of course, because we were on the river, and I didn't have a boat, and I didn't have my boating license, and I didn't remember exactly where it was because I was so small. But I knew if I followed the energy and my guidance, that would be good enough. I just follow where I feel I should go so that it gets resolved. As time went on, every once in a while I felt my grandfather around me, but I did not trust the energy. So maybe that's something that's happening in your life, that you don't trust the energy. I wasn't 100% sure that was his energy or not. I couldn't confirm it. And because of that, I would block it out energetically. So I learned to do that. I learned to survive that way as I grew out of the dark night of the soul. That was one of my survival mechanisms. Like, if I don't know what it is, you can't talk to me. You can't do anything. Even though I feel the energy a little bit, it kind of gets weaker and weaker and it can't get to me. And I really needed to do that at the time. I ended up sending back many of my guides. Anything that I could find around me, I would send it away. I trust nothing and I would do the work myself. And even the most persistent ones, I would tell them they have to up their game and they have to really prove to me that they're good. Now, next, I'm going to talk about attending a mediumship where I got in contact with my grandpa again. But I just want to tell you, if you're listening to this right now and you know exactly what it feels like to close the door on your own sensitivity just to survive the day, I want you to know you don't have to stay shut down. If you're picking up the energies of the world as others seek you out to unload their stuff, and they do, and you end up leaving with it, that is not good for you. In my program, Renegade Healer, we work together on exactly this. I help you escape that empath trap, clear the spiritual interference, and safely open back up to your guides without absorbing all the noise in the world. So if you're ready to look at this, head over to learnspiritualwellbeing.com and click on the Renegade Healer. Now let's get back to the podcast, continuing with the story of my grandpa and me blocking out the guides. A couple of years later, I attended a mediumship circle at a spiritual church. There were about 15 of us there, but I don't know if they were all mediums. The way the circle worked was simple. If someone felt an energy or got a message, they would all speak up. We were all sitting on chairs in a big circle. As usual, I stayed completely quiet the entire night. I was probably the only person who didn't say a single word. I just sat back and I observed. I had never been to one of these things before. So we were about to close the circle for the night when a woman on the other side of the circle, across from me, spoke up. She said, "Before we go, there is a person trying to come in and has a message for someone in the circle, but they aren't able to get through. And he's been trying for a long time. This soul keeps trying and trying and trying, but for some reason, the person won't acknowledge them." And I was just listening, and deep down, I had a feeling I knew who that was. I thought, oh, maybe it's my grandpa, but I didn't say anything. I wanted to see what was going to happen because it could be for someone else, right? And then the woman continued, and she said, "He's been trying to connect with someone in this room for a very long time, but has been blocked." And then she said, "He's an older man, and he's showing me a boat." The moment she said that, I felt a boat coming right at me. It wasn't a physical boat, but the energy was like as real as one, and it was heading for my head. So I ducked in my chair, and it stopped just over me. So that energy, if you want an idea what it was like, it's like seeing the Matrix, but the Matrix is like physical. It's the outline of the boat, and the energy is strong, and it's pushing itself in. So it's something I guess spirit can do, but I had never seen something like that before. Well, I have experienced different things, but the boat part, that was a new one to me. So as I said, I ducked in my chair and it stopped just over me. And then after a few moments, I noticed the energy was gone, and I sat back up and I looked at her and I said, "That's my grandpa." And I'm sure everybody saw me duck. And then she smiled and she said, "Yes, that's him. He's been trying to talk to you for a long time, but you won't let him in." So I said, "Well, I don't know if I can believe what's happening. I don't know if I can believe it's him, but if you're telling me and it's coming to you, then I will let that energy back into my life." And then she said that my grandpa said, "Finally." He said the word finally, like he finally got through. Remember, I said, you got to prove to me, up your game. Well, he came through. So he came through on spirit time. So all I could say at that time was because of how vulnerable I used to be and how I was able to tune things out, it got to the point that I needed my grandfather's presence validated by someone else for me to open up again. That is okay. So within a couple of months, I went back to the area where we were fishing and followed the energy to get as close to where I was. I did not rent a boat. I stayed on the shore. I said my prayer, and that was good enough. So whatever it was closed off for me, and I still feel my grandpa is helping me now. I see it differently. Even as I'm talking right now, I feel the energy around. And sometimes when I'm making a decision, I feel that energy stronger. So there's ancestors around me, and that's okay. Now, in the early 2000s, I started monthly mentoring sessions with a shaman for 3 years was an expert in spiritual guides, and when we sat down, she looked at my energy and said, Al, I don't see any guides around you, which that's what I figured. And I told her, yeah, I got rid of them. And she asked me why, and I told her, well, I can't trust them. I can't see them. I don't know if they're good or bad. And when a bad energy comes in, it causes me significant pain and distress. At that time, that's what would happen. Today, that doesn't happen anymore. So that conversation was the beginning of rebuilding my relationship with my team of light, my divine and sacred team of light, I would call it. So now I work hand in hand with my guides, and I teach others how to do the same. So I'm sharing this with you today because I want you to realize that your team of light, your guides, your angels, your ancestors, they're there to help you. And it might not be easy at first, but as you clear stuff, it gets easier. Yes, there's negative energy and interference out there, but when you clear that interference, you clear the path for a much better set of guides to step in. That is a truth. When you clear the interference, you upgrade, okay? I realize also that the reason I had struggled with my spirituality wasn't because I wasn't spiritual enough. It was because I literally locked out my divine team of light. And of course, it's not possible to lock them all out, right? I still have some guidance, even if I don't know it. I was able to shut down a part of me and make it difficult while I'm trying to figure things out. So if this story resonated with you or you have one of your own, I'd love to hear from you. You can send me a private DM on Facebook or Instagram. And if you want support to actively move through these blocks and clear the interference and get in touch with the right guides, I invite you to check out the Renegade Healer Intensive. So just head over to learnspiritualwellbeing.com and look at Renegade Healer. So I'm so happy you were with me here today. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Take care of yourself.